This is Thirsty for Knowledge Thursdays. It's our weekly webinar series. It's brought to you by the Aries Foundation for Financial Education. This evening, we are talking about women and wealth, specifically financial empowerment for women. And we've got a special guest joining us from Rosie's Place. Special guest tonight. She is Elizabeth. She goes by Liz Chaves. She is the Chief Finance and Administrative Officer for Rosie's Place in Boston.
For the most part, women working out in the workforce, I mean, we still have the same obstacles, right? I mean, there's still a work-life balance. There's still equal pay. That's an issue. I mean, we're still not there yet. We're on our way. Certainly with COVID in the mix of all this, it certainly didn't help. But now it's sort of like a step back because of COVID. I mean, women had to leave their jobs or take a part-time job or, just to be home with their children. I think it's still the wage. I think women are still not speaking up and getting what they need. I met with a friend of mine not too long ago. She said to me, she's like, when you're applying for a job, for instance, if there's a job range, a salary range, and if they're going to give you middle of the road, why? You're still going to need to do the same job. Why not ask for the top? Right. And it's a salary range. So why not ask for the top and really advocate for yourself, because you're still going to have to do the same job. Think about wealth. I think as a woman, we think about other areas of wealth that attribute to a woman. There's the internal wealth, so the self-knowledge, the self-respect that a woman has in order to move on with their life. So, it's the wealth of, the health and the family, right? So, those are sort of like the things that as a woman, we tend to look at everything all together, encompassing, in order to even think about financial wealth, right? But with that, I think, just setting goals, and just really monitoring your goals and just following your budget and following your vision and really just sticking to it.
Common mistake, and as they said, common mistake, they cross genders, right? So this isn't just women, this is everybody in terms of this. Money does make us sometimes feel self-conscious, right? We don't like being judged no matter what it is, but being judged about how we either handle money, like if we made a bad mistake or something, we don't want to have that come at us. And so instead, we don't talk about it.
Just getting back to goal setting, sometimes it's, just having a conversation with your partner or your spouse and just talking about the goals that you want to achieve through the year, right? And then after you talk about your goals and what you want to do for the year, break them down into little chunks, right? So that it doesn't seem so overwhelming, right? So you can have a yearly plan and then maybe breaking it down into monthly and sometimes even weekly. So even though you may have separate pools of money, but just knowing that you're both contributing to a pool of money, for instance, so you can both plan to achieve that same goal together. A big proponent on budgets and goals again.
I also think when you're trying to be very open about money and having that conversation, you have to remember that everybody comes to the table with their own baggage around money.
There's 6 to 8 weeks of expenses in the bank. And if there isn't, that should be the first place that the money is funneling to. Fill bucket number 1. Get the 6 to 8 weeks of expenses in the bank. Bucket number 2 and 3 are longer term. Bucket 2 may be, a vacation or a purchase, upgrade to a transportation or housing or something. Longer term, bucket 3, that's maybe education for a young child. That might be retirement planning, that type of thing. But you want to make sure that bucket number 1 is getting filled. And then once it's filled, now we can direct assets into bucket 2 and bucket 3. And this primarily comes up with retirement plans and participating in a company-offered retirement plan that, and again, it's not gender specific. We see it on both sides, that it's, I don't understand that, so I'm not going to get involved. When taking a little bit of time or reaching out to that professional that's part of it, or attached to that plan, or somebody that you might know who can then spend the time with you to sort of go through it. That's the idea and the concept, because the one thing you can never get back in dealing with investments is time.
It's funny. It's either, it depends on what part of the brain you are, right? So I think you're either a numbers person or you're not. And I think that's why women tend to shy away from that if they're not. I think that even if men shy away from money, I feel like they feel like they need to take it on because a woman may not take it on, right?
Another good point is the fact that people are, a lot of people are very good at paying their bills.
Yeah.
They're not very good at saving money, as Tom was just starting to talk about saving versus spending.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that people don't realize, that they should make themselves a bill. They should put themselves first.
Everything to do with investing is all about risk. Find the right mix. It's risk, not return. Don't worry about what somebody else is getting for a return. It only matters to you. Whenever we get asked, hey, what's the return going to be? The response is, how much are you willing to lose? Because it's all about the risk that you're willing to take. The more risk, the more opportunity for gain, but you still have that opportunity for loss. Ultimately, now we are being stereotypical because women take better care of themselves than men. And statistically, that means that you are right now on average living 5+ years longer on average than a man, which brings all sorts of other, considerations into this. One, you're going to be around longer and more than likely not have us if you are married in the equation, which is why the number one thing up there is long-term care insurance. The others, that the next two are, about making sure that the documents are all up to date, the will, the power of attorney, the healthcare proxy, because living will is not recognized here in Massachusetts. Those things are dictating what's going to happen for you, your stuff, and your care. And then the last one is Social Security. And one of the things with Social Security, specifically with Social Security claiming, is a lot of it has to do with longevity. And if you have longevity and you're healthy and you're taking care of yourself and you're going to be around for longer, then it certainly makes sense to extend those, hold off on claiming those benefits for as long as possible, because you're going to make up for that later on.
You can have a conversation with the financial planner yourself and just kind of, if you're not going to have the conversation with your spouse about combining or talking about goals together, maybe you can talk to a financial advisor, and then he or she can walk you through what it is that you might need because of all these things, because you're going to live longer, because you're going to be healthier, because you're going to need all this long-term care and so on. And you're always going to be the caretaker for your elders and your children. So, so I would say, meet with a financial advisor and really just talk it through with them and see what it is that they can help you with to navigate and not feel alone about talking about finances.
One little tip I want to give you too is the fact that, especially when it comes to life insurance and men do not like to have the life insurance conversation. The issue, though, as Tom already pointed out, is women typically live longer than men. So it's women that are going to have this financial difficulty if the man passes away. So even if it is the woman owns the policy on the man and pays the premium, and the man's just insured, get the man insured. Get past that obstacle. Don't let that be a sticky point, right? Because you're not getting life insurance for you. You're getting life insurance for the people you care about.
That's right.
Right? So, and when you talk about, longevity, long-term care, all those other things that come with living older, they come with expenses. And so, like I said, get past that. Even if you got to be the one to say, okay, we'll keep our finances separate, but I want you to be an insured person. I'll pay the bill. That's fine with me.
Women tend to take more of the caretaker role. Just research and statistics, not putting anything on that. But you tend to think of others before you think of yourself. And a lot of that sort of comes across in planning. you tend to plan more short-term and for immediate needs and for taking care of those who immediately need help and support versus looking for your own long-term benefit, just sort of what we just talked about there, whereas that some of that gets pushed off to the side, and you do need to take a step back and say, wait a minute, I got to look at myself and what's going on with me, and then I can go and do X, Y, everything else that you're going to get and have to deal with. But that is a big part of it, is making sure that you're taking that step back and looking at and saying, wait, I got to take care of myself, like Craig mentioned about, making sure paying yourself, it's also taking care of yourself.
The other thing I'll give kudos to Liz on is that she is pushing seek financial advice, because men tend to be do-it-yourselfers. Because there's so much to know that even if you are a do-it-yourselfer, you can't know it all. I mean, even Tom and I constantly doing more education. But if you're not on top of your game, you can't take full advantage of it. So this is really an area where financial advice is something, you should make sure you have somebody competent who can guide you.
Have questions? Ask us. We can help with that. You can email Craig at crichardson@aresfoundation.org, or you can visit the website to learn more about what we do and how we might be able to help you. www.aresfoundation.org. Want to see more of this recording? Go to www.aresfoundation.org/events. If you know an organization or community support group that could benefit from one of our workshops, reach out to Tom T. Alessi at aresfoundation.org. Our mission is trying to help everyone have a better relationship with their money.